Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Bishop. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This is Ken. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me, and good morning to our callers, wonderful listeners, and happy week ahead.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I was just going through the notable series of security challenges we've witnessed in our nation today, just so that people can really understand what we are here to discuss this morning. So we are looking at currency, of course, with the subtopic the radicalization program of the federal government. Sir, if I may ask you to be very, very brutal and direct this morning in the program, this deradicalization program of the federal government is aimed at, it's like a diplomatic move to discourage these things. But sir, do you think this deradicalization program, have we achieved our aim, the objective of the program? Have we achieved it in our nation, in Nigeria? Have we achieved it? And if you say we have, then why is it that we are still getting reports of these guys who are said to be repented bandits and terrorists going back to communities and then launching an attack on those same communities again? Please take it from here, sir.
Well, thank you, Bishop. And I'm glad that you've also pointed out that we've heard reports of repented bandits of Boko Haram going back to commit, the same crime they were pardoned. Now, to your question, as the deradicalization program, has it been successful? My simple answer to that is no. Because you cannot deradicalize Boko Haram members or even the bandits without genuine, empowered, and sustained community involvement. What Nigeria is currently doing is nothing but performative, not through de-radicalization. Because we are feeling, because our de-radicalization program, they are designed in Abuja, not in the communities that suffer the violence. As it stands today, there is no participatory dialogue to diagnose what the issues are. No bottom-up feedback. We are not hearing from the community people. And there's no real co-ownership of this intervention. So what we do, there's lack of community trust building. And you cannot reintegrate an ex-combatant, or you cannot reintegrate a Boko Haram member, a so-called repentant Boko Haram member or bandits, into communities that was never engaged. Oh, you can't do that. And you can't reintegrate them into communities that feel very unsafe, or communities that feel that what you are doing is being imposed on them. So for me, really, if we are serious, we must find a way to adopt or integrate indigenous communication system, which we have been ignoring as part of our de-radicalization process. Because de-radicalization must use local cultural mediators. and the local cultural mediators are the religious leaders, the traditional institution, women association, perhaps also youth group, even some cases farmers association. And these are communication bridges that extremist groups exploit in the first place. Now, Bishop, our strategy that failed to address structural community experiences of state absence, livelihood collapse, pressure, distrust of security forces cannot be seen to have deradicalization will be successful. Bishop, you know, you cannot deradicalize individuals while leaving their communities drivers of extreme untouched. You cannot address this thing on the surface. And I had told you before that reintegration without reconciliation is a waste of time. So you need to underline this word. Reintegration without reconciliation, it's a waste of time. Reintegration is not a logistic exercise. It must be a communication process that must include, it must be a communication process that must include truth telling, healing, community acknowledgement of the issues, negotiation of safety guarantees. And what we are doing now, in all what we are doing, none of this I had just mentioned is happening properly. So, Bishop, therefore, what kind of deradicalization are we talking about? And if you are serious, really, a credible deradicalization framework must include co-creation with the communities. You must co-create the intervention with the communities. It is not about not just consultation. It must be co-creation. Communities must help design risk assessment tools. Community must help design reintegration plans. Communities must help design monitoring framework. So, and again, you must find a way to use participatory communication platforms, which is the use of dialogue. Perhaps town hall meeting. You must explore indigenous conflict resolution channels, peer-to-peer, communication, community communication network. You must address community accountability mechanisms. Community must listen to this. Community must be able to say, we don't feel safe. Community must be able to say, this person is not ready for reintegration. The state must first fix these drivers. So, and you also need to address the psychological issues. Let me conclude by saying, we must address the psychological issues. Do you understand me? Community must know who is being reintegrated. Community must know why. And community must be able to know what safeguard exists. And without addressing these things as I've just mentioned, suspicion grows. And suspicion weakens the deradicalization program. But Bishop, let me say clearly again, let me reiterate. You cannot deradicalize Boko Haram fighters or bandits without sincere community participation. You see, Nigeria's current model of deradicalization is performative. It treats deradicalization as an administrative event rather than participatory communication process. Communities must become co-designers and implementers, not spectators. So, in essence, what we are doing is that we are just wasting our time and wasting money. So, you do charade, snap pictures. The communities that you want to reintegrate these people, are not consulting them. So basically, I've said of what I need to say. But so long as we are not ready to address what I've just stated, it's not gonna happen. There is no... Bishop, let me explain something to you briefly before I stop this session. There are communities in this country that if you go to those communities, you cannot find police station. They have their own indigenous and local knowledge of how to go about local justice that guarantees safety. And there are also communities that even with your police station, you need to get the permission of the traditional rulers or the youth leaders before you make arrest. And there are also some communities that grievances cannot even be settled in police station. You have to come back to the chief palace to get them settled. So you can't brush these things away and think that you sit in Abuja to design intervention and forces on the community in what they never participated in. So we really need to go back to the drawing board. Get participatory development communication experts. Get conflict resolution experts to do these things. Otherwise, we are just wasting our time, Bishop. This is what I'm saying.
Thank you so much, Dr. Liberty. I really appreciate you. And you see, every time you speak, you just it's like a very big giant microscope that magnifies. It's like a magnifying lens that that expands my view of some things that I think about. I really want to appreciate you, sir. So I wrote down some of the things. You said reintegration without reconciliation is a waste of time.
Yeah.
And then also community orientation deradicalization programs.
Yes.
In other words, you are not saying that deradicalization itself alone, standing alone, is bad. But it is bad when the communities who will host these persons must be involved.
Participate. Yes. Effective participation.
Yes.
Effective participation. Effective participation.
Right, yes, sir. So let us expand the discussion a little because of our time.
Okay.
I've heard people severally. I listen to people severally, and they are putting the blame. Some are putting the blame on this particular thing. Some are saying, some are not putting the blame. Some are saying, oh, if you can do it there, then you should do it here. That is the amnesty program of the Niger Delta militants. Some persons are saying, if people did an amnesty program for this thing now, then why should you not do the radicalization for terrorists? Also, persons are saying it is because they did it. That is why this is happening. Now, in that kind of context, the amnesty program of Niger Delta militants and also this radicalization program of these terrorist guys, is there any correlation at all in this matter? Is there any resemblance? Is there anything? Is there anything, sir? I would like to hear from you once again on this.
You see, the problem is that in Nigeria, everybody is an expert. And there's too much Biafalo talk in this country. You see, we often forget, in the context of Niger Delta, I'm not saying what they did wasn't a crime. But before you even begin to talk of serious deradicalization in Niger Delta, they got them to submit their guns. The major thing that happened in Niger Delta was disarmament. Am I right? They spoke, they got their elders, they got experts who went to the creeks to get them to submit their guns. Of course, I think I was in university then, I was following the conversation. It was when they disarmed them, they moved to the next phase of conversation. At a point in time, they even created school. I think they were giving some of them scholarship to go school abroad. As part of amnesty project or amnesty program. So it is totally unacceptable to compare the two. In the northern part of the country, you're talking about deradicalization with people that come to negotiation table with guns.
And chains of bullets.
So if you're serious about deradicalization, you first of all need to get them, you need to disarm them. Everybody must come to negotiation table equal partners. Because what is happening yesterday, I finished a mini research in what is happening in Castina is that even the community members are signing agreements with bandits, not because they like it, but that has become a coping strategy for them to be alive and go to farm. So it is a community survival mechanism in response to state abandonment. So if you talk about deradicalization in the context of Niger Delta, I expect the Nigerian government to get them, or the northern elite, or the likes of people who go about talking about they shouldn't kill their brothers, they shouldn't kill their children. The first you should do is to get them disarmed. Collect the guns first. In this country, one of the men said that a bandit who killed one of the bandits, came to negotiation table wearing the uniform of a commissioner of police that was killed. He killed himself to negotiation table. What's that? So when you have this kind of approach, the world is laughing at your place. This is not what deradicalization means. People come out from the bush with the chains with all sorts of ammunition. After talking, they enter they step on their bike and move back to the bush. And you're so concerned, you're so happy to call that deradicalization, because we are, I'm sorry to use the word shameless in this country, that people throw bandit words about. Do we know what deradicalization is? Even in communities, even when you want to settle husband and wife, sometimes the first thing you insist is that they must forgive each other first. When you get that trust and forgiveness, you should be able to talk about reconciliation. I just told you there is no reintegration without reconciliation. The communities are accepting your demand based out of fear.
Of course, of future attacks.
It's not to, in short, a senior military guy spoke to me and told me in confidence that this is not deradicalization. Communities are accepting this because in the eyes of the communities, bandit has taken over leadership. So you have two options or three. Is either to pay the money, is either to get killed, or you either not to access your farm,
Leave the community.
or you leave the community. So I am saying, those who have this narrative of saying what happened, of course, deradicalization happened in Niger Delta. But Bishop, was this the approach that was applied in Niger Delta? I remember clearly, I watched a video where people were submitting their guns. Some were even burnt. The leaders of the militant they met them and they got their men to surrender their guns. And don't also forget, Niger Delta militant never went about kidnapping and killing their own people. They were kidnapping the expatriates. And even as they were kidnapping their expatriates, they were not killing them. So we don't need to change narrative because we want the narrative to suit us. And it is this our preference to telling lies to ourselves that has brought us to where we are today. We simply don't want to tell ourselves the truth. And until we get to the level where we decide that we should tell ourselves the truth, Bishop, we are not moving forward. Because the justice system actually demands truth telling. So I'm not into, I can't be caught into this all this pedestrian conversation that people tell you about Niger. Was that what happened in Niger Delta? Was that? So even the policy makers, the military men, and even at the level of the legislators, they need to really sit down and tell themselves this is not working. How many of the repentant Boko Haram members are in the communities? Yesterday, I read the report that repentant Boko Haram or bandit members or whatever have gone to kidnap people, kill people in Kaduna. I've gone to stealing cars. Because you don't build a house built on a faulty foundation is definitely going to collapse.
Of course.
So we should get things right. I think that we should do the right thing. We should forget these sentiments and emotions and do things right. This is what I'm thinking. And this is what I'm saying.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Liberty. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
God bless you, sir. Thank you so much for everything that you have said this morning.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Bishop.